So there's a website called discogs.com, and it's essentially like Amazon or eBay, but just for records.
The
And
artist isn't getting that money though.
they're not. They're not. But
So that's fucked up. You should print 200 and never sell them. Just keep them in your house.
I just say they're sold out.
They're sold out.
it just
Where are you? Is that your home or is that a different studio space?
This is the same studio that you saw years ago. I just fixed it up a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sick. Do you record down there or is it just for practicing?
So I am going to be starting to record down here. I just actually got all these mics and everything. I mean, it took me a while to get, but this is what I'm trying to do, is turn this into a recording studio. I'm taking classes on URM Academy to try to get good at this. And, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm on my way. So,
yeah, I was on that for a little bit too, but I was like, I got to revisit this at a different point. Like right now, I'm just focused on my playing and writing, and I can't do everything at once,
I get it.
So, I think I've said this on another podcast in the past, but I really like the expression, you can do everything, you just can't do it all at once.
100%.
So whenever I feel overwhelmed, it's like, okay, I got to do this, that, just be like, okay, hang on. You got the rest of your life to like do all the different shit you want to do. Just, you got to pick something though.
100%, man. And I'm in the stage of trying to do all of it at least well enough. But I'm hitting that road though, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. There's like a couple, even when it comes to practicing, there's a couple different ways to approach practicing. Like I know some people like to, and I think I switch back and forth a little bit too with it, but I know some people are like, I want to spend 30 minutes working on my technique and then 30 minutes writing and then 30 minutes doing transcriptions and then 30 minutes working on my tone. And then, that's like how they time box their practice sessions or whatever they're doing. I've done that, but right now I'm not in a phase of that whatsoever. Right now I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on transcriptions for the next month, or I'm going to focus on writing for until I finish one song, and then I just stick with that for like a long period of time.
Absolutely. I agree with that for sure.
Is that how you do it? Like just focus on one thing?
Hard to say. I definitely don't do the 30-minute block this and then 30-minute that. I used to do that, but so much of this is inspiration influenced. So, like, what are you going to do? Just cut yourself off after 30 minutes when you're on a really sick riff? Like,
Yeah.
So, honestly, I wake up and I'm like, all right, what am I doing today? Or I'll have a schedule for, like, the month generally of what I want to do. And because I'm trying to tackle so many different things, and I'm not naturally inclined to be a photographer, videographer, or producer. I'm more a drummer and musician and composer. It's not easy for me to just get right into the lane. So it is kind of like, well, what am I feeling like doing right now? But like you're saying, though, I kind of have like a general scope of what I'm trying to do.
So do you right now have like a lot of things like brewing at the same time, like more music, another video? Like, what do you kind of have on the back burner right now?
Monochromatic Black is coming out with... We're trying to come out with an EP this year. We put out a full-length record during COVID, and I'm not sure if it reached as many people as it could have because of all that stuff going on. And it's very expensive to do a full-length LP. So this time we're kind of just like, let's just keep it kind of small and just do an EP. So we're doing that.
That's what I've been doing too. It's just like smaller chunks because I can't like it's a lot of money to do to do like 10 songs.
It's a lot,
and it's a huge time commitment too. And I'm pretty sure the listeners that I have would much prefer me putting out 4 songs every 12 months as opposed to like 8 to 10 songs every 2 to 3 years.
That's where we're at, man.
And also, like, the culture now is to drop everything as singles anyway. So I have these 4 songs that I'm ready to start releasing next month. But I'm not going to put them all out at the same time. I'm going to gonna drop them as singles in like 3-week intervals. And then that final release will be, okay, well, here's the full EP now on Spotify or Apple Music, but they will be released one at a time, because that just seems like the smartest thing to do these days.
100%. And like you're saying, like if they're part of the record coming out, I personally think that's cool because metal and rock people still do like albums, but like the singles is where the industry is, like you're saying. You know, me personally, I get kind of bummed when like a song just kind of ends up in the internet and then doesn't get attached to a record, because then it's like,
it's a little weird. It's also weird because it's not. I like to hear a mix being consistent throughout a couple of songs. So, you know, the 4 songs I'm putting out all have the same mix. I did them all at the same place in the same time frame with the same drum set, the same guitars. So, like, it's cool to hear some mix consistency from one song to the next. If you just do a single on its own and it's different from the tracks you released the year before and the tracks you released after, it's kind of like this weird, like, no man's land of, oh, that was strange, that weird little stint you had with that particular tone of that song. It rubs me the wrong way.
Absolutely. I'm an album guy through and through, and that's the type of music, the production, like you're saying, the mix, like it all adds to the mood. I agree 100%.
So what do you mean or what does it mean to even be an album guy these days? Like, does it count? Could I say I'm an album guy if I add an album to like my Spotify playlist, but I don't actually own the album?
Of course you can.
Yeah, I mean, this is more of a philosophical, like,
Yeah.
you know, I've got 100 albums on my Spotify playlist, but I don't own physical copies of them. Am I an album guy?
So I think there's different layers to like consuming a record, right? And
Tell me.
I'm not
curious.
saying, I'm not saying that this is objective fact. I see Omar laughing. I'm not saying this is objective fact, but like, if you listen to a record from start to finish on Spotify, you are consuming the album at whatever quality the streaming service is giving you, through, in most cases, your phone. So there's some degradation there, but you are listening to the album from front to back. On some streaming services, the songs are not gapless. So, you know, there'll be like a little skip between the tracks for whoever doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's the most convenient and basic form of getting an album, right? Then you can get a CD or a record and you're consuming it from start to finish. It's in higher quality, provided you have a better sound system, you have the lyrics, you have the artwork, you have the tangible experience of you getting the record. And there's like a psychological thing that I think goes on for most people when they get something physical, especially an album, where they associate it with a time in their life. I think a little bit more than when you just hit play on Spotify, because the theory is that you're using more of your senses, right? You're touching the album, especially with vinyl, you can smell it. I mean, it sounds silly, but
it doesn't. It makes sense.
I just saw this blog post the other day. I'm going to Google it right now. There's like a Japanese term for having a physical library of books in your house, consisting of books that you haven't even read yet, because it's a reminder of how much there is still to learn. You know, so like I do have, you know, in my living room downstairs, I have like a bookshelf. It's like the size of a whole wall, and it's like 1/3 of books I've read and 2/3 books I haven't gotten to yet, but I know I want to read at some point. And I really, really like having like, you know, a row of nonfictions that I haven't read yet, because it's just like, oh shit, someday I'm going to read that and learn all about that crazy thing that happened at that point in time. And I walk by that bookshelf all the time, and you know, I see another thing. Like I have the whole Ender's Game. I think there's a lot now. I have a bunch of Ender's Game books, which is sci-fi. I have all the Game of Thrones books, but I've only read the first 3. But it's just a reminder that, you know, like, cool, I've read those, but I still have so much more to go.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost acts as like, I don't call them trophies, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's like, like an accomplishment, or absolutely.
I want to Google this real quick. Japanese Tsundoku refers to the phenomenon of acquiring reading materials but letting them pile up in one's home without reading them. But I think, but I think it's more than that. Like it has something to do with, like it makes you feel like there's more to be learned.
Yes.
And you know it's funny too. For Christmas I bought my wife 2 vinyls. I got her what's that Korn record? Untouchables?
Yes.
Yeah, Untouchables. Yeah, I got her Untouchables on vinyl, and I got her the first Rage Against the Machine album on vinyl. And you know we haven't even used them yet, but it feels good to like have them on our vinyl rack. Like even they're still in the saran wrap. We'll open it eventually, but like it's nice to know. Cool, we have Untouchables on vinyl and Rage Against the Machine on vinyl downstairs.
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful too. I don't know, they're like works of art, you know. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
If they are works of art, though, it makes me wonder. Like, wouldn't the smart thing to do be to only press 1,000 of them? Because that's what artists do. Like, you know, photographers, they'll print like a print of some picture they've taken, and on the back of it they'll write like 1 out of 1,000. And I guess, you know, you could do that if you wanted to, but you know, I guess you'd have to be like Snoop Dogg or something to, you know, I guess our mission is just to get as many people to hear our music as possible, not to.
I think it also depends on like the final goal with why you're printing them. You know, like you want it to get out there, you print several hundreds of thousands, whatever it is, depending on the artist that you are. If you want it to be a limited edition and you want it to sell for a higher amount or whatever it is, right? Like, then that's the goal.
Yeah, you can do both.
It's funny you mentioned that because that actually is a very popular thing to do in the vinyl community, especially with like underground bands and stuff like that. They'll do press of 200 and they will actually write 1 out of 200 on the back. So that is a thing.
Yeah, like, or I think I even see kind of like our peers doing this, like Moontooth. You know, we've printed a limited amount of swirly vinyl, like colorful pink vinyl or something. Or I think Contortionists did that too at some point.
Yeah.
I just hope they're worth money someday. Like it'd be, I guess you never know, but
oh, dude,
yeah, vinyl's expensive.
Dude, they're worth money the second they sell out.
That's true.
So there's a website called Discogs.com, short for discography. And it's essentially like Amazon or eBay, but just for records. And so, like, let's say, you know,
the artist isn't getting that money though.
They're not.
So that's fucked up. You should print 200 and never sell them. Just keep them in your house.
I just say
they're sold out.
They're sold out.
And just put them on your own Discogs account.
Yeah. There's 200 of these, and I'm keeping them all for myself. Sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Eddie, back to what you said about like you can smell it. I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently about vinyl and why it's making a resurgence, and part of it has to do with like the ritual of like, you know, you pull it out of the sleeve, you look at the grooves, you put it down, you listen to it, you read the lyrics or whatever it is. You know, you look at the artwork, you know, so it's more than just listening to music. It's a whole experience.
100%, man. That's exactly what it is. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're making a mistake with all of the like streaming stuff. Oh, you know what? It was the Blockbuster documentary I just saw. Like I think it's on Netflix. It's a documentary on the last Blockbuster. Still somewhere out in like middle America, and they had all sorts of like I don't want to call them celebrities, but I don't know, different artists and musicians and cultural people of our generation. And there's this one voiceover guy, and they said his credits on the documentary. He worked on a bunch of music and stuff for a bunch of big movies, but he was like, you know, there was something about getting out of your house with your friend or your girlfriend or your family and exploring the aisles and the Blockbuster smell and like picking up like the Raisinets or like the crunchy chocolates at the counter, and like, you know, being rung up by like a kid that's like stoned, and like it was experiential and it was fun. And then it wasn't just about like plopping down and watching a 2-hour movie. Like it was like a 4-hour event. It was like, let's go, and it's like get in the car and go there, and maybe we run into somebody and you're people watching, and then you pick out the movie and you come back, and then it's like an event putting into the thing. And even talking about it, it's like we do it to ourselves with like all this with like the efficiency stuff. You know, we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, no, it's I agree. It's that whole experience is gone for most people today. If you want to go to a record store, well, with Blockbuster, I don't even know if there's an option. Are there like movie rental?
Probably a handful. Not that
Redbox, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but what is Redbox?
That doesn't count. That's not the same.
No
Yeah,
yeah. Selling your racing that's at Redbox. You know, it's on the street corner. You know, it's like
it's halfway there. It's halfway there
right.
to being.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to. I don't want to knock streaming and Netflix. I mean, this stuff's great, but like you're saying, we do lose that that whole experience. I mean, I remember waiting for an album to come out. You had to wait, and like you saw ads or whatever, and then when it finally came out, you had to get in your car. You had to go to the store. You met other people who also were buying it there. You made friends. You went home. You had it in your hands. You put it in your car. If it was a CD, you listened to it. If it was a record, you wait till you go home. It was a whole experience, which is essentially what we're all saying.
And it was fulfilling. You felt it in your heart and your soul. It felt good every step of the way. It felt good.
I mean, listen. Let's compare all the stuff I just described. Let's compare that to today is ironically Friday. Yo, Nick, the new so and so came out. Did you hear it? Nah, I didn't hear it, but check this album out. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, I will say, and by the way, that conversation wouldn't even have happened over FaceTime like this. It would have happened in a text message. Right. It would have been on a text, like, or on Instagram, like, yo, check this out. So think about that, right? So like the whole thing, the whole community of doing this now is through Instagram DMs and, notifications on your phone. Again, I don't want to say it's all bad, because I will say the bad shit about back in the day was usually you heard one or two songs and that made you want to buy the album. So you went through that whole experience, and sometimes CDs were like $18.99 at Tower Records, which is a lot. And then, vinyl was a lot. You'd get the album home and like the song you heard was awesome, but the rest of them were just total stinkers. Like, that sucks. So at least now,
and all that money doesn't even go to the artist.
Right. In most cases, they get like pennies. So like, at least now you could check the thing out. But like, the majority of people are not going to the record store. I mean, even most people that buy albums, which is a small niche group of people today, are probably just ordering it on Amazon. I don't know. I mean, not everybody has record stores in their town. Like here on Long Island, we're lucky. There's like 8 of them. But like in other areas,
yeah, it was a bummer, like shelling out $15 for a CD, but it did kind of portion control you a little bit. Like now I have so much music to listen to that I don't even know where to begin. Like I used to have a list. When I was first starting to play guitar and I was going to a record store to buy like Dream Theater or something, I had a list of like 5 things I wanted to learn. It's like, oh, this song is cool, that song is cool. Am I back?
You are back.
Can I finish that thought real quick?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so it was at least portion controlled, the music that you had to listen to. You'd have $30, you'd buy 2 CDs maybe, but at least you could like obsess about a handful of songs. Now my to-do list when it comes to music has become like unmanageable. Like I have like 100 something songs that I want to transcribe from like Wes Howe and Alluvial to like Brad Meldau and Coltrane, and because I've just swamped myself with material.
Yeah,
It's just too it's just too much. And for a period like 3 years ago, I was saying to myself, okay, you are only going to like focus on like sure listen to Spotify and stuff in the car, but when it comes to like your what you work on and transcribe and learn, you're only permitted to work on the stuff that you own in some physical form, like a vinyl. Like you need to fall in love with an entire album before you can commit to learning like the solos and the songs and the history and stuff. And I kind of fell off the bandwagon, but it did work a little bit. Like I really got familiar with a couple of like Coltrane vinyls. Um, it was just nice to like get really, really familiar with an album as opposed to just letting it go in one ear and out the other, and just take it for face value.
100%. Yeah, I mean, what you're describing, which it's basically option paralysis, right? You have so much stuff. Yeah, it's again, it's a double-edged sword, man, because you have access to everything now, but managing it, it's like you're saying, you're not forced to sit with any one thing because one of the biggest things that I've noticed from the way things are today. And again, I don't mean for us to all sound like a bunch of bitter people or anything. I'm saying there's good things about this. I just want to make that clear.
I'm expressing my woes with all sides of it. Like by all means, I have a Spotify artist profile and an Apple Music artist profile, and
definitely.
So please follow me on Spotify. I'm still there.
No. Some people might watch this and be like, "Oh, these guys are all just
a bunch of boomers."
Yeah, right.
Bunch of boomers.
Right. No, but it's, even though we're not even
exactly
close to that age, but still, no. It's one of the biggest things I've noticed is that with the way people consume music today, music has become, to a degree, almost like a niche interest rather than a part of everybody's life in the way it once was, I think. So, like, I mean, you're competing for so much entertainment. I mean, you have what we're doing right now. You have podcasts, you have music, you have YouTube. And again, these are all great things. You have Netflix, you have, whatever. Ultimately, everyone only has 24 hours in a day. So think about how much time you have in a day to devote towards what most people would consider entertainment. Music's more than that for me, but for most people. And how do you fit in all this stuff, right? So I think what happens is sacrifice has to be made. Maybe that new record that came out all of a sudden has to sit on the wayside because there's new YouTube videos out that are also designed by an algorithm to get you addicted. Or maybe you thought you were sitting on Instagram for 5 minutes, but it was actually 35 minutes and you didn't even realize it. Here's a fun test. Sorry, I'm changing subjects slightly. If you have an iPhone, I think Android does the same thing. You could actually set like the app limits on your phone where it like tells you that you've been on it too long. And
that doesn't work. That doesn't work. As soon as that pops up, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
So it doesn't work for a lot of people. Right. No. Listen, it doesn't work for a lot of people. I agree. But you know what it does do? It tells you an objective fact of how much time you actually spent on that app, right? So, like, you can bullshit yourself. Like, a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't use my phone that much. Like, I'm only on it for, like, maybe 10 minutes a day. No, dude. Your phone says that you've been on this thing for 75 minutes yesterday. It's an hour and 15 minutes. Like, what are you doing? Like, think about how much time you're awake.
Yeah, but for 40 of those, I was taking a shit.
Multitasking, baby.
What else am I supposed to be doing?
Hey, listen, you're getting into another thing, man. I mean, shit. Is it? Well, no pun intended. Is it natural to take a shit and be distracted by a fucking screen where you're trying to be social with people.
Dude.
Where in evolution are we being social, taking shit through a screen? Like,
I used to love taking a shit without a phone. Like I would think about things and like plan, and I would have an imagination. My brain was working, and now I'm just like, gosh, what a sad picture of a man taking a shit with his face buried in some bullshit content.
Dude, I will go look for my phone. I don't care how bad I have to go. I will look for my phone to take it into the bathroom.
Oh my god.
When I was a kid, the thing to do was to like read the ingredients on the things around you while you were taking a shit. So like the Lysol bottle would be right there, and I'd be reading all the poisonous shit on the back, or like the shampoo. Right. That was fun. That was a fun activity.
Well, you know what it is. I think like you were saying, when you go to take a shit. Again, I'm not a scientist. So I don't know anything about. I don't know anything.
What scientists? I want to know the scientists working on this very topic.
And dude, they gotta be out there. Okay, I'm not a shitologist. Okay, but like you said, I think something natural, like chemicals, probably go off in your brain where you do. It's a moment of self-reflection. It's amazing how we went from vinyl records to taking shits, but okay. So it's a moment of reflection, and I think if you're staring at your phone, it distracts you from those momentary times throughout the day where you're just alone doing your thing. And
it's a meditation. I never thought of it that way.
Whether it's intentional or not, yeah, it definitely is. I mean,
you're missing out on your like 1 or 2 meditations a day if you're shitting while looking at your phone. You've taken meditation out of your self-reflection is gone. Your insightfulness. Your I don't know. Maybe some people have moments of gratitude while they're taking a shit. Like, thank goodness that came out of me. Like, I don't know. I'm half kidding, but I'm also.
No,
I don't know.
Dude, well, that's why I'm laughing, because like this all makes total sense.
Listen, it's all a half joke, but emphasis on half. I mean, it's you know, would you guys say that you're addicted to your phones?
I absolutely am.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the answer is yeah, because like if it does buzz, I got to know what it was. You know what's funny though is that if you do separate for a little bit, or like, you know, I don't know if your phone has ever died around you and you've been like, oh shit, well I guess my phone is dead. It feels good almost right away.
Immediately, dude, it feels like, amazing. It's like, oh shit, like it's almost like the thing's alive and it's just like sucking life out of you. And when it dies,
I start fiending, bro.
You do? Well, try going.
Where's my charger?
Try going longer, or if you go on vacation, and I guess this is not the case anymore because like so many phones have like expanded their international coverage and all that stuff. But I remember years ago, if I'd go somewhere outside of the country and it's like, oh, your phone doesn't work. It's like, oh fuck yeah, man, no one. It felt like like a recharge. It felt really, really good, and the, you know, even now, if my phone does happen to die or for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't have reception or something. The fact that decision is out of my control and it just sort of happened, and now I'm living in a world where no one can reach me, it does feel really good.
So here's a question. You said when your phone buzzes, you have to look at it. What about when it doesn't buzz? You look at it.
Oh, that happens all the time, and it's happening more and more, and it's kind of poisonous. It's the reason I've taken off my Apple Watch. I'm not wearing my watch right now, but I switched to just like a regular old, like, you know, analog automatic watch, just because I didn't need to. You know, they say, oh, you know, track your heart rate and it'll tell you your recovery and blah blah blah, and I did that for like 2 years. Like, okay, cool, I had a beer last night, so my recovery is down. I ate junk food, so my recovery is down. I exercised like 7 days in a row, my recovery is up. And at a certain point I was just like, I get it. Junk food is bad, booze is bad, exercise is good. I think I can kind of encapsulate that and take the thing off. And I got it.
Yeah. And I'm going to close out with one thing on this topic, and we can get back to music if you want. But Another thing about the phone and people taking shits is that you're wiping your fucking ass and then touching a phone and then putting it to your face to talk to people. What the fuck are you doing? I guarantee there are so many people that do not wash their phone every day. For those who care, get alcohol wipes at CVS. They're like $3 and wipe your fucking phone down. Just do it because that is so unsanitary. Like, to me, that's such like an obvious thing. But you know, and Omar, this is not. I know you're saying that you do it all the time. It's not a shot at you by any means. I'm sorry.
Didn't even take it as that, bro.
Dude, you know, I think you're a great person. That's so please don't take it that way. We're just talking.
We should just really lean into that and call this episode "Omar shits with his phone all the time." Anyway, so there's this artist, this jazz guy who has a. He has a Spotify profile, but the header of his Spotify page is cancel your Spotify account and buy my music on Bandcamp. And I just saw this the other day, and I'm thinking, you're not going to win this battle. Like, I get it. I'm about to put out some music, and I don't even know where I'm going to recoup the money. I have no idea. I'll put it on all the streaming services. I'm going to get pennies from that. Maybe I print CDs or vinyl, but I think only a handful of people would actually pick those up. I don't even know anyone my car doesn't have a CD player in it anymore.
Yeah.
And I, like 10 years ago, when Fourth Ray was printing merch and things and like we used to sell posters, a lot of posters. I'm 34 years old. And I imagine a good portion of my audience has probably grown with me. So maybe 30, 32, 34, 40. I don't know, something like that. That's a grown-ass man with a Nick Llerandi poster on his wall. So I'm not really down with printing posters. Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe, what do you think about that? Like, what even is there to sell? How do you recoup money from an EP or an LP besides, like, going on tour and selling t-shirts?
So you're going to have the niche audience that will buy the CD and the vinyl. And I'm one of them. I bought your last record and I love it.
Thank you.
Obviously, I have the Forthright record, but that was from over a decade ago. So you do have that market, right? So I think it's good to tap into that, but you got to be realistic with yourself and think how much of your audience actually wants a physical copy. It might be as small as 50 to 100 people, but that's still awesome. It's still a way to recoup money. Maybe you don't go all out with the packaging and you kind of do like the Noah EP that you did. I'm pretty sure it's just the slip. It's not like a digipack. Yeah, so it's cheaper to do stuff like that. So I do think it's good to print physical. And going back to the earlier part of our conversation, like, you are working so hard on your music, I imagine. Okay, so I'm imagining you're also getting artwork made, right? I mean,
yeah.
So the artwork you're getting is supposed to represent a visual side of the auditorial experience, correct? So for people like me that want that, we want the full album. So we want to see that. We want to experience that whole thing. And own it in that way.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a good barometer for what that number is.
So what you can do, and what I've done with my band is you can. Okay, here's again, great point about social media. You can put up a post or a story post on Instagram with a poll, and you can literally say, "If I made CDs, would you want one?" And of course, the stats are not going to be, you might get a bunch of people saying yes, and when it comes down to it, only half of them do. But
yeah, so take it with a grain of salt.
You'll start to get a gauge for what people say versus what actually happens. Like, if you get an overwhelming amount of no, like, we don't care, then it's like, well, if you really care, maybe you'll make like 25 of them and, you'll distribute them or whatever, but you won't count on it for revenue you know, because you're independent, right? So you're getting
Yeah.
100% of everything. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can recoup on Spotify as well. I know it's not a lot of money, but between YouTube streams and Spotify, you can get some of it back. Merchandise, you can get a lot of the money back, but even that costs money to make. Well, I know you give guitar lessons. I mean, I don't know if you want to consider that like recoupment of.
Yeah. I mean, it just. I've just been pondering ways, and I'm asking you. I don't know the answer to these things. You've been hacking away at this for years. I mean, the music videos you guys have for Monochromatic Black go back what 4 or 5 years now. Like
Yeah.
you guys been working on this really hard for a couple of years. You got a bunch of followers on Instagram. So I mean, any advice that you have, I'm all ears. But the whole like lesson thing has it didn't used to bother me. Now it kind of bothers me. The idea of putting out music as a means of like guitar lessons. It seems to make it is definitely the biggest like money obvious answer. Like, cool, you put out some cool music, teach some lessons, make 60 to $100 a lesson. I don't know. I'm not gonna say how much I charge. It kind of depends on which side of the bed I wake up on. But like, not everyone. I was talking to someone else about this. Someone who's older and more experienced and has been playing for like 40 years and touring and stuff. They were like, when I was younger, the whole education thing wasn't so closely tied to the art thing. Like, you were just a guitar player. You weren't a guitar teacher and educator. And now it seems like everyone is both. Like, they're putting out lesson videos, they're doing private lessons, they're putting out their own music. And a part of me just wants to go back to that original idea of I'm a guitar player. I write music. I'm an artist. Maybe I'll give the occasional lesson, but I don't want that to be the main thing. I really want the main thing to be the music.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get what I want, but that's just where my head is at. And lessons they take a long time. I got to sit for an hour with somebody. You know what I'd be down for is like mentorship, like 5 people who would be down for like spending a lot of time with me that I can really like kind of teach the ropes on things. But the one-off lessons I've always felt is just a waste of time. Like, unless you're really consistent, you're kind of just wasting your money.
Yeah. I agree. I think it depends too on the student. Like, for example, I don't know who you've taught, but let's say somebody, I mean, I would consider you at like a fucking master skill level, dude. All right.
Thank you.
So I would consider, so let's say, I don't know if you've ever had somebody at your skill level want to take lessons with you. Because if that's happened, a lesson here or there, they even just an hour with you at their level where they're so advanced, it could be as simple as something you say to them that could completely change their world. As opposed to a beginner where the concept is just like it's like so far away from them being able to comprehend it because they're still trying to figure out how to shape chords,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've traded lessons with guys that I like before. Yeah, like, hey, you want to meet up and chat for an hour? We could, and no one's charging anybody. Like, hey, some cool stuff I want to learn. I think I have some cool stuff you want to learn. Let's just like kind of hang out and trade. I think that's a totally cool thing to keep on.
Yeah.
To keep on doing. For as long as you're into music, find someone to swap ideas with.
Yeah, that mentorship idea is amazing, though. I mean, you could do that. I mean, I don't know if there's a business model out there that exists like that already. I think college is kind of like the closest thing I could think
I was going to
of.
say, yeah, like a school. School's the closest thing.
Right.
Let's switch it up. I want to know about your band. I was just curious about, how you guys are going about booking shows, playing shows, and like extended amounts of shows, like 7 shows back to back, or a full U.S. tour. I saw that you had until your van exploded.
Yeah.
Like, but also balancing that with being you are independent, right?
We are 100%.
Yeah, and balancing that with being independent, I imagine you guys have side hustles or possibly full-time day jobs. Like, can you tell me about what that's like?
Yes. The band does everything 100% independently. We don't have a label. We don't have management. We don't have a booking agent. And we all work really, really, really fucking hard. So basically, anytime, so all of us have full-time jobs. And whenever we're not at those full-time jobs, we are basically doing the band in some capacity. I have made so many sacrifices in my life to just do this. And like you said, the band has been going on for 5 years, but as you remember from my previous band, that went on for 10. And once that band ended, I hopped right into this one. There was no break. And I was in bands before my previous band in my teenage years, which we don't talk about because they were not good. but they still helped develop me to do all this stuff. So I've basically been in a band since I was 13 years old, and there was only a 3-month gap where I was not in a band. And I was a primary member for all of those bands. Not the primary, but I was an original member of all those bands, along with the other people in the bands. And so I'm so used to grinding this thing that like it's just like in my DNA.
You don't know
So
any
would you
other
say
way.
it's all like habits?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Would you say it's all like habit based? Like you've just created good habits that keep you focused on the goal?
I wouldn't say it's habit based, man. I think it's
A genuine love for it.
it's going to sound kind of deep and crazy, but it's almost a purpose thing too, because for those 3 months that I wasn't in a band, I was like 18. It was when my previous band broke up for like 3 months. I felt so bad. It was like one of the worst feelings ever. And I mean, if I wasn't in a band today, obviously I'm an adult now. I'm more mature. My life has expanded more. I wouldn't be as depressed. I mean, I try to figure something out, but I was so upset. It was like, if I could count on one hand of how many times I was like truly fucking depressed to that level, and that was one of them. Like, I just felt so lost. Like, I wake up every day, like, with progress in mind. I'm a very goal-oriented person. That's another reason why I'm trying to achieve so many different things, like we were talking about earlier. And progress makes me happy. So putting out another record, watching the band reach more people, seeing more places and traveling more places, getting better on my instrument, learning more, becoming a better musician, meeting new people, doing cool stuff like this, putting myself out there. Those are all those are all things that give me fulfillment. So I know we kind of went on a tangent with your initial question here, but yeah, I mean it gives me a sense of purpose musically to do this, and I don't need it to have purpose in my life, of course, but like it's a big thing for me. So I just I've always been in a band, always been chasing some kind of musical venture. So yeah, the band works really hard. Our singer Tanya is the one who books all the shows, which I think I mentioned to you at some point.
I would love a 101 on how she does that. I haven't played a show in many, many, many years, for different reasons. And now the biggest reason is I'm a dad and I got 2 kids, which is doesn't make it impossible. It just makes it really challenging at this point in time on January 6, 2023, because my second son is 6 weeks old. But like in 2 months, 3 months. Thank you.
Yeah.
In 2 months, 3 months, when he's a little bit older and I can leave him with a babysitter, or like when he's sleeping through the night, then I kind of get my life back. But Yeah, I mean, I'm not the only musician in the world to have children, so where there's a will, there's a way.
Of course, yeah. I mean, of course, it's possible, but like you're saying, obviously, an immediate priority.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, I could tell you've been working at it for all these years because I mean, we didn't talk for a long time, and I kind of fell out of touch with what was going on in this music for a long time as well. And but it was cool to rediscover what you've been working on. And immediately when I heard Monochromatic Black, I was like, That's Eddie's band. Like that sounds like Eddie influenced even the guitar parts and the bass parts and the song structure and obviously the drumming. Like this has Eddie's stamp written all over it. It was really cool. I don't know many people that work half as hard as you and who are able to stay like as laser focused on a vision as you. Like people like to change styles, and I don't mean that, I mean drastically change styles. Some people are just like I could do that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like I'm never playing metal guitar again, and I pick up my semi-hollow jazz guitar, and I'm like, that's it. This is what I play for the rest of my life now. And then I change my mind a month later, so I kind of flip flop. But you're so good at saying, you know what, this is the thing indefinitely. Like Monochromatic Black is like it's essentially your baby now, right? Like you're not really thinking about other things. You're not distracted, but you're like, this is it. What's the next thing that I have to do to keep pursuing this one thing?
for sure, dude. That was an amazing compliment, dude. Thank you.
I mean it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
I don't even know if there was a question in there. I'm just kind of expressing that, like, it's
no.
That's what I've noticed, and also being a guitar player, especially one that went to school for jazz. A big thing is like play with everybody, play different styles, be in a wedding band, also be available for side hustles, also have your own trio, also have your own like rock group. Like you don't have to do all that, and so I've kind of taken a page out of like this Eddie book and been like, you know what? I need to just I just need to focus on my project. Like, what is my music? And this new stuff I've been writing for the past 2 years is now essentially my musical child. And it's really all I care about. People have reached out to me on Instagram to play in their groups or to do sessions. And I've turned just about all of them down because I'm like, I only have such amount of time. And I really, really, really want to treat my stuff with the most like care as possible.
100%, dude. Thank you so much, man. That's awesome to hear. And yeah, I mean, your original music is so good. Like,
thank you.
It's a sin. I mean, you should be. You know what I'm saying? Like people at that level know who you are, though. You know?
Yeah, they all follow me on Instagram, but they don't share my stuff. They're just there for the guitar, the licks, and then they use my licks, and then they play those licks in front of their 100,000 followers. Where I'm like, bastard, I should just block you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't think that happens.
I know what you're saying, but what you're tapping into is a whole nother conversation, which I'm willing to have, but it's a long one. I'm a big fan of community, dude. Like, if you like something and you truly, want to help your peers out, do it at no cost to you. I'm not saying this is the case for the other people who follow you, but some people, I don't know, they feel like there can only be one winner. I don't think that's the case in art. Like, I think that when we all win, we all win. Like, this is such a niche thing that, like, if you see another artist that you love, put them out there. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's not a great band playing at the local rock venues by me every night. Like, there's plenty of room for more really, really good bands, guitar players, bass players. There's plenty of room. If there was like 10 times as many, and there was a good show to go to every weekend, like, that would be awesome, but we're a long ways away from that. It just feels like it's oversaturated in terms of artists because we have the internet. Yeah. But those artists aren't down the block from me playing every night. They're not even down the block playing for me every year.
Yeah.
So,
No,
so
I
yeah,
do that.
yeah. So totally, they're like community and supporting artists that you like, and lifting each other up. And when you're up, reaching your hand down and pulling that other artist up with you, giving other people a chance. Super. That's really important stuff. That if you're the one giving, that help will come back for you at some point. I remember being like in early ever fourth rate days, having a bit of an attitude going to play shows, like not talking to the opener, not talking to the other local bands that were opening for us. Just really, we were just isolated to our own little group, like some primitive tribe. And all these years later, I'm pretty sure the bands that succeeded were the ones that were making friends with whoever was playing that night.
100%. And listen, we got into this because we love music, right?
Yeah.
And there's the art, and then there's the business, right? So if you're just focused on the art and you're not communicating and going out and meeting people, then music, the way people perceive music and consume it is different. I mean, guys like you and me, we're total music theory nerds, and we're really into the instruments and the music. And for a lot of people, music is not that for them at all. Like a lot of people are into music for things that are completely separate from the sounds hitting their ears. Like it's a part of it for them, but maybe the community is the most important thing. Maybe just the way the sounds make them feel is the most important thing. Like you and I can sit here and do a chord analysis of a song, and we might be like, oh, well, this is, kind of basic because I've heard this a million times. Like a lot of people, that doesn't even enter their head. It's just a matter of like the way the impression is to them in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say any genres, but there are some genres of music that are not very musically interesting by possibly your or my standard, but they hit a certain way that music that we might find, well, I don't want to speak for you, but that I might find super interesting does not hit. You know what I mean? For example,
yeah, we all don't have to eat the same food,
and a lot of it's environmental. Look, I love technical death metal. Okay, but picture yourself waiting in the waiting room in the doctor's office, and you're not sure if you are going to have to get surgery because of some shit going on. I don't know, is listening to fucking the most extreme band in the world the most settling mood in that case? For some people it may be, but my point is, in that moment, maybe listening to lo-fi grooves just fits.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I woke up this morning and had a bowl of corn checks. I didn't have like smoked brisket chili,
right.
With a big whopping scoop of sour cream. Like, there's a time and a place.
Yeah. So here's where I admit I'm fucking nuts. I pretty much listen to metal all the time, but I also listen to other styles of music all the time also because I'm a fanatic. But most people are not like that, and I totally respect that.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah. Omar said that he thinks we're a bunch of losers and he skated out of here. So
it's funny, when it freezes, I hear you guys and it keeps on rolling just fine, but you can't hear me. Yeah, you listen to technical death metal all the time. That's just you, but you can kind of pick it up from there.
Yeah. No, I was just saying I listen to everything though, man. I listen to jazz all the time. I listen to classical all the time. Listen to hip hop all the time. But I forget what the point I was trying to make was. I guess I got thrown off track there. What were we talking about?
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah.
Sometimes I come into these podcasts super optimistic about directions that I want to take and things, and today I may have come off a little bit like tired of figuring out ways to make this work. That's just, I'll get another cup of coffee after this and my inspiration will be refueled. Like, I don't want to come off that's the way that I think all the time. I don't even know if that's how you perceived it. If I was being a little bit bitter towards some of these things like streaming and stuff, but
No, dude,
that's not how I feel all the time. I mean, I'm a freaking musician, artist. Like, who doesn't feel like this sometimes? You gotta.
yeah.
Maybe
and I
freaking.
didn't feel that way at all. A and B, we could always do this again. I'm always down. But
Yeah. I do need to wrap this up soon.
Okay.
But I did want to ask you, like, is there anything that you wanted to? We're not in a rush to hop on, but I did want to put the ball in your court and ask if there's anything you wanted to talk about while we were here.
I'm really looking forward to hearing your new music.
Thank you.
Big time.
It's been ready. It's been ready for a while.
Yeah.
And you recorded. We were at the same studio, right? You went to Westfall for a bunch of stuff.
We did.
Yeah. So it sounds big and heavy, but with like that jazz influence. I'm really happy. It's the best stuff I've ever written for sure. So
love it.
Yeah,
and this is for Noah.
Yeah, which I've kind of rebranded as Nick Llerandi because everyone was having a really hard time finding Noah. So, I've kind of just said, you know what? The people know me as Nick Llerandi. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I also,
you know what I mean?
If I could add to that, I didn't know it was pronounced Noah until I heard you say it.
Yeah, and there was that too. They're like, Noe? Is there like and some people thought there was like an accent on the E or the O. I was like, I'd never put an accent there. Why would you think it has that?
Dude, I just straight up thought it was no and the E was silent.
No?
So whatever.
Yeah, so it wasn't really working out. But I do have like one cool branding asset that's like it's on one of my hats. It's not this one. It's like an N within like a circle, and I was like, you know what, that could stay because like my name is Nick. It looks like an N. If I need to do a logo or design or something, that'll be what I use. But I'm kind of doing away with the whole Noah thing and just sticking with Nick Llerandi, which is why my Spotify. I've just re-released that Noah stuff from 2021 as Nick Llerandi on Spotify just yesterday. It came out. So yeah. So if you follow Nick Llerandi on Spotify, you'll get that same music, and I'm gonna wipe away the old Noah page.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and look, you're branding out into a podcast. I don't know if you have plans to do other things based under your name, but to have everything kind of branded under Nick Llerandi's umbrella, we can kind of find everything that you do in one place in a way, which is cool. I'm trying to get there. I'm not quite there yet, but yeah, man.
Cool.
So what's going on with Ever Forthright stuff?
Ever Forthright is pretty much done being mixed. Billy's it's being mixed by George Lever.
Okay.
He's done Sleep Token and Loathe and some other stuff. The mixes sound great. Billy's going to England though to hang with him for a couple of days just to wrap up loose ends, and so the music is pretty much done. Jacob Umansky played bass on it, and it's Mike Semeski on vocals, not Chris Bretto, just because Chris hasn't been available for it. Between his commitment to Monuments for all those years, Mike was working with us for a while, so Mike kind of got to do the record. It sounds super, super good. And now we just need to like work on our marketing. We don't really have any art yet. We don't have an album art. The branding of Ever Forthright is the same branding we've had years ago, so we got to kind of think about a new logo. But these are things that we are working on right now, and we hope to have some music out by like the late spring or summer, along with a music video for that first song. So, we have a song that is roughly like 10 minutes long. It's sort of the epic, and I think that's going to be the first single to come out, along with like a 10-minute music video. So, when we hit in a couple of months, it's going to hit pretty hard, and it's going to be cool.
I think that's the move. I love that. Yeah, come out with a 10-minute track. Everyone's been waiting for 10 years.
I know, right?
Come out with a minute for every year.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it has been 10 years. What? No. When did that come out?
I think 11.
12.
I think we're beyond it. think,
Oh
yeah, we're
man.
now into the 11th year.
Yeah. And listen,
So,
going back to what you were saying about like just focusing on your art. I mean, think back to why you got into music in the first place. Like, I don't know what it was for you, but for
I just
me, it
answered
was.
this. I just answered this question on Instagram the other day.
Oh, and what'd you say?
Tell me yours.
No, I was gonna say at least for me, when I got into music, I was inspired by metal and rock bands as a kid, and I knew that that is the avenue I wanted to take. And then, like how you were saying, where it was like, hey, do this, play with that. That stuff is awesome, but I wonder. I think a lot of people do a lot of things because the goal at some point is to be able to make a career doing the music, right? So if you're taking every gig you can, that gets you paid. If you go into the teaching, like you were saying earlier, that gets you paid. And I'm not saying to discourage that at all, but I was earlier I was touching on the difference between the art and the business side. You got into this probably for the art side. I don't know very many people that get into avant-garde jazz and technical death metal because they want to fucking become the biggest businessman on planet Earth. I mean, I'm sure they exist, But so, like, if you just focus on the art and that becomes your primary thing, then you're doing what you want to do, and that kind of has to come first, I think, because of how niche this is and how, like I said, not everybody is making millions being the greatest shredder or whatever, as admirable as it is,
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to do what you want to do. Like what does Nick Llerandi want to be, artistically? What do I want to be artistically? The people who are watching, what do you want to be artistically? Like, and then preserving that integrity is it's just so important. Really, to me, it is, because ultimately that's the stuff that lives. And I think that if you're doing art for the wrong reason, which I'm not saying anybody is, obviously, but if for the people who are doing it for the wrong reason and they know that they're doing it for the wrong reason, I don't think it's going to work out the way they want to, even if they hit success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just something that I don't think we'll ever know the answer to, and it's going to be. There's definitely guys and girls or whatever going out there and picking up the guitar and doing their hustle gig and getting a really nice paycheck after those gigs, and that could be all they ever wanted from it,
And that's fine.
Yeah,
that's them being true to themselves. That's it.
Eddie, you got a show coming up soon, right?
We do. We have, let's see. We have a bunch of shows. I don't know how many are announced yet.
Amityville, February 10th, I think.
Yes, so that's with Cryptodira.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and support from Thought Crimes, us, and a band that I have yet to hear yet. They are called, it's John the Movie, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
John the Movie. I don't know who they are, but it was just announced yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to check them out, but I definitely will. So yeah, we got a show on Long Island, February 10th. If you guys want to come, it should be a good time.
cool.
And then we're going back to touring on the weekends.
I do have a bunch of other things that I wanted to get to, but we could do this 100 more times if you wanted to. I really wanted to learn more about what it's like doing the weekend warrior thing. Just get into that a bit more. I wanted to know, you guys have so many really good music videos. I just kind of wanted to learn more about that process. And I had a really good question down here that's going to definitely have to wait till next time. And I wrote down, so what's the 5 to 10 year plan for an independent / weekend warrior artist? Is it even worth having a 5 to 10 year plan for it? Or is it just day to day? We don't have to answer this right now, but it's just something that's been, it's easy when you have a day job. It's like, okay, my 5 to 10 year plan is I want to make this much more money. I want to get promoted at least twice. I want to have this much money in my 401k. Like, you know, when you're kind of in a corporate-y thing, it's easy to set those kind of goals. But what kind of goals do you set when you're a completely independent yeah. I mean, yeah, there's some obvious things like start paying some bills with the money that I make from my income. But let's talk about that another time. And it was really awesome having you chat with us today, and we'll definitely do it again.
You guys are the best. You guys are great people. Let's fucking hang out more. Let's do this kind of stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, man. We'll catch you soon.
Cool, man.
Peace out, brother.
Peace.